one of my former colleagues, actually. I've taught full-time, and I've also taught part-time. I'm actually a part-time instructor now. I teach online for a community college that I live hundreds of miles away from. I'm the first virtual employee that they've ever hired. They actually had to create a hiring process to hire me. So it's kind of interesting, this whole world of online teaching and learning. You know, in many ways, we've come so far, but we have so far to go. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today. That's partially what this presentation is about. And so I've done a lot of reflecting and honestly a lot of learning about how to teach since starting to teach. You know, I think from the ground up, I've totally changed everything, you know, by realizing that I didn't know what I was doing. And that's really what I'm here to share with you. And I do not in any way intend to say that what I do is the best way, but, you know, I do think that I have figured out some things that are not being done terribly well in general, and that could really be improved. And I say that because of feedback that I hear repetitively from students. And I think that they are the ones that hold the key to improving what's done in online learning. And again, I share this from the community college perspective. And at the community college level, you know, online learning has grown very quickly in a very short period of time. We're going to talk a little bit about that too. And, you know, I think that this is a very critical moment in K-12 because things are starting to happen, aren't they? Yeah, things are really starting to happen. And this is a really important conversation. So with that said, I'd like to understand who you are. Are you teaching online right now? Yeah? So how many of you are teaching online right now? Okay, so a little bit more than half of you. And how many of you are teaching online in K-12? Okay, and how many in the rest higher ed? Raise your hand for higher ed. Okay. Say that again? Adult ed, okay. And how many of you at some point expect you'll be teaching online in K-12? And at some point expect you'll be teaching online in higher ed? Okay, so a little bit actually all over the board. Very interesting. So, I want to share a story. You have your hand up? You have a question? I want to share a story. I started teaching online in 2003. I started teaching full-time in 2002, and then a year after that I started teaching online. And I knew right away that I really didn't know what I was doing with my online class, and I had a lot to figure out. And I was teaching with the course management system that my institution gave me, and you know, and I was developing everything. It was basically an empty shell, and you know, and so I started writing my lectures and posting them online and doing the best I could with, you know, what I was given. And I can remember sitting at a graduation ceremony that I loved going to, and listening to the names of students being called as they were walking across the stage. And I'm sure you can all, you know, relate to this on some level. Awesome feeling, right? Fills you with pride and excitement. And so it was my first year teaching online. And so I'm having this realization, which wasn't like a shocking realization, but I was realizing it in like a multi-dimensional way that I hadn't hit me in different other ways before this moment. And I'm recognizing names. Oh, that's my online student, you know? And I'm going, I know that name, that's my online student. But I didn't recognize the person. And, you know, so I'd applaud and I think, oh, that's so cool, that's my online student. And then after the ceremony, the faculty line the walkway, the promenade where the students come down afterwards. And the students would walk down, and, you know, you have the opportunity to reach out and give your students a hug or shake their hand or, you know, give them a high five. And so it's dawning upon me that I don't know who they are, right? So my online students are walking right past me. I can't recognize them, and they can't recognize me. That was not okay with me, you know? And on the one level, it's like, well, really, what does it matter? They got the education, right? They earned the units, they graduated, they've completed their degree. On the other hand, there's something very sour about that. Because I know as a teacher that that connection is what makes education life-changing. And that connection is what makes me an inspirational teacher. And that connection is what makes students love my class and makes students want to go on and study art history, or makes students think, whoa, I've never thought about it that way. You deliver that message in a way that other teachers have never delivered that message. It's more than just seeing me and hearing me. It's the way that I teach. It's the way that I can inspire my students. And so that was like a huge moment for me. And so I thought, what can I do? I've got my course management system. I don't know if I said this already, but it was Blackboard. Okay. That's not going to help me very much. And so, I started working some things out, but, that's the focus of this presentation, is that problem, is that lack of human presence in online classes. And again, that was 2003. This is 2012. And I'm just wondering from you all, I'd imagine that some of you have probably taken online classes, professional development, maybe, you've enrolled in courses. Do you think that's changed a lot? What do you think? Do you share an example with me? Starting to? Overall, I'm not talking about like the fringes, the innovation. Overall, what would you say? How would you describe most online classes? And what do you mean by flat? So I've seen some research that has been done in terms of social media use, and this is specific to higher ed actually. And I question actually the validity of this study, because it actually went out, I think, through Twitter. And so I went, well, that's not very valid, because those are people who are using social media. You need to be reaching out to a more generic sampling if we're going to actually, sample use of social media in higher education. But the number one use of social media in higher education is YouTube videos. But, that doesn't mean that they're YouTube videos that an instructor has created or that has his or her presence in them, right? It's probably a YouTube video, which isn't a bad thing. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I mean, I do that too. I think it's a great thing. But it's different. It's not the human presence. Yeah, so there's a difference between using video for an instructional purpose, and there's a difference between using it for an instructional purpose and using it for your human presence. And using it in an instructional purpose can also include your human presence, right? So those two things can very well be blended. Yeah, does anyone have anything else to share on that? And Barry, you had an alternative perspective. I don't want to say that you're wrong. Do you want to share anything? Like, what do you think is changing about that? Yeah, I think we may have actually chatted a little bit about that, maybe. Yeah. So the flipped classroom model where there's more the interaction and the participatory learning, the active learning becomes more integrated. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's good, and I certainly hope that we're moving in that direction. Yeah. Uh-huh. And I do it to the present, but what they really value is being able to interact with each other. And a lot of online courses are done really in this environment. Absolutely. I really think connecting them where they're engaged in what they're doing at the same time, not on the same moment necessarily, but within the same yes.
Rather than going all over the place and posting, you don't know somebody else is going to post.
Yes. So if we talk about building online community, That is bigger and deeper than social presence, and I completely agree with you. And that's actually wasn't intended to be the topic of this workshop. And so, what if I could paraphrase? You're saying what's in terms of what the students say is most important to them about building community is the student-to-student interaction with each other. The feedback and the interaction with the instructor is important, but it's that participatory student-to-student interaction that really kind of builds those underpinning, those essential threads of community in a class. Absolutely. Did anyone attend either of my two previous workshops? Those two workshops, I featured VoiceThread, which is a participatory learning environment that actually is a huge community building powerhouse, and so that's something that I really got into there. Yeah. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So it starts to infuse that participatory element. Yeah, and so that's what one of the things I started doing with my class. So, that's what we're looking at is this kind of relative flatness that is still, from my interpretation and based upon the feedback of my students and what I see out there. I'm enrolled right now in an online doctoral program, and it's incredibly flat. And I don't know what my instructors look like. I don't know what my instructors sound like. And I think that plays a role in my engagement. I really, really do. And when I think about my community college students, who many of them are challenged in multiple ways. And they need motivation. They need constant inspiration. And over a 16-week semester learning in solitude, that plays a major role. So if we take a look, I just have a little chart here about, this is a graph that illustrates how quickly, not only how quickly, but it compares distance learning growth in California community colleges with face-to-face enrollments. So each of these is an academic year. I know that's confusing the way I wrote that at the top. That should say academic year 06-07 through academic year 09-10. The blue is enrollments in distance education, and the red is enrollments in face-to-face. And so we see year over year enormous growths in our distance education enrollments and relatively flat enrollments in our face-to-face. And that's one of the reasons why I'm advocating for this, why I think that this element of the human touch is so important. I teach a class called Building Online Community with Social Media, which is the heart and soul of the comment that you just shared. And I had a student in that class share with me, who teaches online. She said that one of her online students recently shared with her that he was stunned to find out his online instructor was not a computer. And that's something that I think about all the time. This is a really interesting study that just came out from Raymond Kopp, who is employed at Cabrillo College. Came out of a doctoral program that he just completed. And it was a 4-year study that took a look at 4.5 million Latino and white student records throughout California community colleges. And they took a look at the grade gap between whites and Latinos and noticed that there's a 44% wider gap online than face-to-face between whites and Latinos. Became a little bit intriguing, dug into this a little bit further. Also realized through this study that Latinos are less likely to pass, earn lower grades, and have withdrawal rates twice as high as Latinos in face-to-face classes. So that's Latinos online versus face-to-face. The study revealed that the reasons for this were largely rooted in the values of Latinos around education and the role of relationships in education. And there's a quote here from one of the students from the study. I feel like I don't get to know the instructor as well as if I were in a classroom situation. I hardly know what he looks like. I don't know what he sounds like, how he lectures, or anything except what is written. The online experience is just a whole lot of work reading and trying to understand all the concepts. I definitely work better in a classroom. Again, so while it's not the same as community, that importance of that social presence in terms of keeping the students engaged week after week is something that really needs to be considered. And the California Community College has something called regular and effective contact, and that's part of our mandated expectation, a part of our ed code for distance education. And that has nothing to do with the human presence. I mean, that can be absolutely fulfilled, right, through text-based communications. So that's why I'm kind of advocating above and beyond for the importance of this. And I ask ourselves, would we ever walk into a face-to-face class and expect our face-to-face students to read everything that we wanted to say to them? Could you, I thought about, well, maybe I should just start this workshop by just, putting words up on a screen, having you read it. How would that work? But then why do we do that to our online students? So I want to just suggest a few effective strategies that I've used in my classes. One of the things that I've done is offer video comments, announcements, and feedback to enhance social presence. It's a very simple thing to do. It's very easy to do, and it's actually something that does not take a lot of time because often, again, this regular and effective contact, we're already doing usually some kind of textual announcement to an entire class. And so one of the things that I started doing was just taking that text-based announcement and sharing it in video format. Here's some student survey results from a survey that I did back in 2008. 101 online students surveyed. 98% of them strongly agreed that video communications from their instructor increased the sense that I was present in their learning experience. There was also a study done out at Santa Barbara City College in 2010 using a version of Moodle called the Human Presence Learning Module. I don't know if anyone heard about this. It got some really nice press in the Chronicle of Higher Education. And Douglas Hirsch at Santa Barbara Community College is the contact there if you're interested in learning more about it. But essentially, what they've done is they've taken Moodle and they've designed a template for a course design template for Moodle that's basically kind of has some Web 2.0 tools peppered into it, so that faculty who want to adopt it don't have to do that customization on their own. It's already there. And so one of the things built in is a Skype module, so the students can actually just click on, see when their instructors are on Skype and click on it to connect with their professors on Skype. And then the other thing is this video message that sits in the front center of the screen. So every time they log in, that gets refreshed periodically throughout the class, and so they receive a new video message from their professor. And the study part of it. So what they did throughout the class was they actually had two focus groups of students take the same class, and one focus group actually took the class through the human presence model instance of Moodle, and the other one through Moodle without all the bells and whistles, the Web 2.0 tools. And the ones using the human presence model actually had a 10% increase in class completion rates, which was a pretty significant study. Something else that I think is interesting is they also have a rate it module, which I think is actually pretty cool, where it actually lets students go in and rate units and content, and that's the thing that instructors use least. Yeah, it really kind of challenges a lot of the power in a classroom. And anyway, I just thought I'd share that. I think it's kind of a neat feature, but it's just in the human presence model. Yeah, it's not in the standard version of Moodle. I understand, though. I've asked Douglas Hirsch this, and he said there's a way you can get access through this. They've shared it with one of their providers. I can't remember if they use Classroom Revolution or who they use to host Moodle, but you'd have to contact him for more details about that. Yeah. Right, yeah. So it's that would be a different way of doing a rating, yeah. Yeah, so this one's kind of like an Amazon rating or like on Target.com where we've got like 3 stars out of 5, yeah. Oh, no. This was just it was a way of like continuous feedback just between student and instructor, that's all. It wasn't any kind of formal evaluation, no. So the weekly announcements essentially, take the text-based announcement and enhance it as video. And this is really kind of how they function in my class. And what I do is I type up my announcements, and this is something that I do every week. I type up my announcement, and I use that as my script. And I read it on my screen, and I save that video. I upload it into YouTube. And I personally make that video unlisted, not because there's really nothing relevant in there to share. And I think there's more interesting things on my YouTube channel that I'd like people to see than my weekly announcement. So I make mine unlisted, and I embed them in my Blackboard class. I have 2 classes, one's in Moodle, one's in Blackboard. I'm going to show you how to do that. Technically, what I do is, I'll be honest with you, I recorded this in QuickTime Pro, because YouTube just made a change last 6 months or so that stretches the webcam on my MacBook Pro. And so my face looks so I don't know how to fix that, and I've asked, and apparently it's something innate in YouTube, and so it still works. I guess I'm just vain about that, so I don't do it that way, but it still does work. Did someone have a hand up? Well, you can't embed QuickTime. You have to have it hosted somewhere. So the only thing that YouTube extends is hosting, right? So, there's lots of ways to host videos. Another option, would be something like TeacherTube is something that a lot of teachers use. It's basically just another version of YouTube. So that's something that you can try, and you can embed TeacherTube videos as well. I don't know if you can actually do a recording into TeacherTube. So if you were so YouTube has a direct record from webcam. So that's one reason I show it. But if you were doing TeacherTube, you could record into QuickTime, save your file, and upload into TeacherTube. So that's another option. Or, let me ask you this. Could you create an external website and share that link? Is that something you could do? I don't understand what your parameters are. Could you create a Google site just for communications? That's what I'm going to demo for you is how to embed it into a Google site. So I'll show you how that works. Yeah, and Vimeo, I don't think Vimeo is free though. Oh, really? Okay, cool. So this is a comment from one of my students. The best part of the class was seeing your face pop up every week, which is just kind of sweet and special. But, they really appreciate that. It's, even when you stumble over your words and you think you're sounding like an idiot, your students really appreciate that. So what it requires to do these video announcements is a script, a webcam, a free YouTube account, a quiet place with decent front lighting, which is really important. And a lot of people don't realize if you're recording from your webcam, you need to be front lit, or you're going to look like a big scary monster. And that's really critical. And if you're taking the time to do the videos, think about that. And think about what's behind you. I work in my home office with a horrible background. And every time I record my video, I take my laptop and I just switch over to the end of my table, because that way the light is hitting the front of my face and there's a wall with pictures behind me. So I am very conscious about that. It's just a little switch, but, so think about those kinds of things. And it really does make a big difference in the quality of the video. And then you need somewhere to embed it. So either a course management system or a website. So that could be a Google site, a Google Doc. It could be, WordPress. It could be Blogger. There's so many options today. And here's some tips. If you're, as you're teaching, try to keep your announcements infused with fresh content. Students will recognize the difference. So if you're using canned announcements, it's like, I don't know. I mean, if I show you a video of myself a year ago, my hair is like 4 inches shorter. It's like really obvious. Your students pick up on those kinds of things. Use student names in your communications. Make it really personable. Talk about current events in the videos. Demonstrate the fact that, you're really recording this live, and that's something that's really fun to do. So when I record a video, I might reference something that a student did in class. Cheryl, you had thanks for your wonderful blog post last week. You did a great job. I encourage the rest of you to go check it out, or those kinds of things. Really pull the students in and make that video just so much more valuable in terms of your social presence and their engagement to what's happening. And don't worry about being perfect. It's all about being you. The other thing that's really important to remember, especially I think for everyone, but in higher education it's a legal requirement for all institutions receiving federal funding to have all video be accessible to all students. So if you have a student who can't hear, they still have to be able to access that content. And so that's another thing that really makes a lot of sense about thinking about video, building it from script to video, because then you have a transcript. So it's really easy, by the way, in YouTube to caption a video once you already have the transcript. I wasn't going to show you how to do that here, but if you save it just as a text file in Word, you upload it and it turns it into captions. So you can do that too. But what I do for my students is this. So this is what it would look like in my course management system. The video's embedded below. And then above it, I say, please view the 6-minute video announcement below, or click here to download the transcript. And I make it a PDF version. So that way if students want to read it, maybe I have a student who doesn't want to watch it. Maybe they're at work, or I don't know, they want to just read it, they have a reason they want to read it. So that's a nice way to do that. And it's always good practice to make it clear how long the video is. Okay, so I'm going to go out to the web now, out to the resource site. I had this URL at the start, but I want to be sure that you all had a chance to reference it. This is the resource site for the presentation. It's goo.gl/y big T little jk big A. You all got that, right? And I can put that up again later if we need to. Oh, I forgot to play my Rick Springfield video. And I have the presentation embedded here if there's anything that you guys want to take a look at. And I also have an instructional guide here. This is a PDF that you can download. By clicking this arrow, it'll let you download this as a PDF, and it provides step-by-step instructions explaining what I'm about to show you. So later, if you want to reference this, or if you want to send it to someone else, you can do that. And this presentation I did as a webinar a few months ago for a college, so that's here as well. Okay, so what we're going to do is go over to YouTube. And I'm already logged into my free YouTube account. And I have a handy-dandy transcript. Very brief, few sentences that I've typed up here. And I'm going to have that up on my screen. And I'm going to go up to the top where it says upload, right here. And I'm going to click on upload. And from here, you can either upload files from your computer under the big red arrow, and over on the right where it says record from your webcam. So I'm going to click there. And you're going to see the big stretched out image. Oh, sorry. See? See what I'm talking about? Okay, so it's ready to record. So what I do is I just kind of make this small, because this doesn't matter. And I move that over to the side. This is what's important. And I click record. Hello and welcome to the Human Touch, Essentials for Integrating Video into Online Learning. Whether you've never taught online or if you're an experienced online instructor, I hope this workshop has given you something to think about and encourage you to understand how important your human presence is to the success of online students, because you matter. So I click stop. And now I'm going to click publish. And it's published. I'm going to change a few things. I'm going to change the title, and I'm just going to call it Q Video Sample. The human presence. This is my description. Tags help you find it. When it's unlisted, it's really not terribly helpful. The tags aren't that important, but I'm just going to tag this Q. A category, again, is really for search functions, mostly important when it's public, but I'll put this one in education. This is where you select your privacy. Everything on YouTube defaults to public, but you have options, and the unlisted option is really convenient when you just want your students to see it. So unlisted means only the people who have the link will see it, or the people who have access to the embedded version. So you can think about the embedded version as the same as the link, okay? I don't recommend private if you're sharing it with a big group, because you have to manage that by like emails, and it's really a headache, at least in my opinion. You can adjust the licensing and commenting options and all that if you want, but I usually just leave that as is and then click Save. And there's the video. I'm going to go to the top and click on View on Video page. Of course, the longer the video, the longer it takes to process. Hello and welcome to the Human Touch, Essentials for Integrating Video into Online Learning. Whether you've never taught online or if you're an experienced online instructor, I hope this workshop is... Okay, so that's that. There's a little bit of lag in network. Of course, the playback is always going to depend on the connection. And so this is how the embedding works. There's a button below the video that says Share. You may be pros at this. I realize a lot of you know how to do this stuff. But if you don't, it's kind of life-changing. Click on Share. This is where you would grab the link if you wanted to share the link with someone. This is how you would embed it. You click on Embed. Is there anyone in here who teaches with Blackboard 9.1? Okay, if you teach with Blackboard 9.1, it's absolutely critical that you click on Use Old Embed Code. Because if you don't, you're going to use something called the iframe, and it will make all your content disappear. Yeah. Blackboard and I have a torrid relationship. So, and then what I recommend is that you deselect here where it says Show Suggested Videos when the video finishes, because you don't want YouTube to ever suggest videos for your students. Trust me on that one. You can select the size. I just go with the smallest one. I mean, really, who wants a video this big of their face? I'm not sure. And that's really it. So you make these selections, and then you copy the embed code, because the selections get reflected in the embed code. So we've got the embed code here. I'm going to copy it to my clipboard. So just Control-C, right-click if you're on a PC. You guys with me? Yeah? Okay. Okay. And now what we're going to do is I'm going to go over to this Google site. I'm going to add a page to the Google site and embed the video there. Okay? So this embedding process there are a lot of similarities regardless of the web tool that you're embedding it in, but there's also a lot of differences. So I'm going to add a new page by clicking on that Add New Page, and I'm going to call it Embedded, well, I'll just say Video Announcement. Create. So now what I need to do, there's a few ways to do this in Google Site. I usually show people to use the gadgets. So you go up to Insert, and then select More Gadgets. And then there's a gadget that's just Embed Gadget. And you can use this for any embed code. You can use this to embed a voice thread, to embed a video from Vimeo, from TeacherTube, from YouTube, so just general embed code. So we're going to select that. And all you do is paste your code in there. And you need to adjust the width and height to what your video is. So this says 420 by 315, so I'm going to mimic that down here. Personally, I don't like the border, and I don't like the title on my gadget, so I deselect those. And click OK. I'm going to click Save. And there's my video.
Hello and welcome to the Human Touch, Essentials for Integrating Video into Online Learning. Whether you've never taught online.
So that's how that works. Yes? Well, I can't speak because I don't know how all your servers are set up, but if it's hosted on your school server, I would expect it to be blocked. So I would imagine that you'd have to embed it on a server outside of your school. Right. Right. It'd be fine. Right. Yeah, so if you had like a blog at Blogger or a Google site or a Google Doc, then the embedding there would of course be fine. Yeah, but embedding within your school server, it would be blocked, yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't know, that's a good question, and I bet Barry might know more. So home access might be okay, is that what you're saying? Oh, that's true. I was thinking for yeah, okay. All these hurdles that we have to jump, huh? Well, I should say you have to jump. Okay, so that's that. I have another, who in here knows iJot? Let me show you a little bit about iJot. It's another fun way to reach out to students. iJot is essentially video email, and I don't use iJot with all my students, but I like to keep it in my back pocket for students that I'm worried about, or for like a really special reward for students that are doing a really great job. Or like, okay, there's just some things you don't want to say in an email. I bet you can think of examples, right? I mean, text just isn't the best way to, and you know that. Like, you'll be composing an email and you're like, and you erase it, and, I don't know how to say this. Well, those are the things you shouldn't be saying in an email, right? And so I had a student, anyway, I won't give an example, but yeah, so that's what I use iJot for. So I will pull up iJot and I'll record a video email and I'll send it to a student. So I'm going to show you how it works. You say compose new message. And there's the video. Oh, sorry, it started recording, and I didn't know that. Hang on a second. I'll talk about embedding in a minute. Hey there, Susan. It's Michelle. I just wanted to reach out to you and let you know that I know that you've really been struggling in class, and I can tell from your assignments these last couple weeks that you're really working hard, and it feels like you're really coming through. So hang in there. You're doing a great job, and I'm pulling for you, and just wanted to send you a quick message there. So you type in the email. And you send the message. Guess I don't need to let you all see my email, huh? The things I reveal, let me tell you. Okay, so so I'm the student now, okay? So I'm the student and I do not have an iJot account. This is the beauty of iJot, okay? I'm sitting at home, I get an email, oh, Michelle sent me an iJot, what's that? Let me open it. Let me try to open it. Why isn't that opening? Oh, sorry, it did open. Hang on, folks. Got this weird dimension. Okay, so here.
Hey there, Susan. It's Michelle. I just wanted to reach out to you and let you know
Pretty
that
nice,
I know that you've really been struggling in class, and I can tell from.
So it's really video email. Now the student can reply, but they would need to create a free account. So they can reply through email and just type an email back. If they want to send a video email back, that student would need to have a webcam, and they would need to create a free account. But they don't need to do that. Yeah, but it's pretty nice. And then iJot also has something. They do have options to actually record video and embed also. I've never used it in that way, but I think that's what I just showed you is free. I think I can record up to 5-minute emails this way with my free account. I've never paid anything for iJot. No, you can't forward them. They only go out to the person it's addressed to. Yeah. But I've sent them out to a big group of people. I have a class. I've sent them out to a whole group of 30 people, and they go out just fine. There's another feature that I've used. Let me show you with iJot that's kind of cool. It's called their widget. I teach a class. It's a professional development class called Building Online Community with Social Media. I think I may have referenced that once already. And in that class, it's not loading. How odd. Let me try to load that page again. It's not loading. That's weird. Yeah, that's weird that that's not working. Well, you should see a little picture of me here that plays a video. I don't know why that wouldn't work, but it's a little widget, and it's a video portal that allows students to click on it and send me an iDrop message from that little portal without needing an iDrop account. And the way they can do that without an account is that it comes from an anonymous user. So that's, and I tell now, mind you, the students in this class are faculty. They're professors generally. So I necessarily wouldn't do that if I had a group of students because I'd want to know who it was. And I tell the faculty, tell me your names because it's an online class. So I don't recognize them off the, right off bat. And a lot of them forget to tell me their names, and it's kind of a problem. But you can there's a setting to set it up so that they can actually send you an anonymous message. And it's kind of fun, and they love it because they just click on it and they send me a message, oh, great content this week, I'm having so much fun. And I get these little video messages from them throughout the class. So don't know why that's not working there. Okay, well, I was going to give it one more try, but it's not working. What about Screencast-O-Matic? You guys know about Screencast-O-Matic? Yeah, what did you say? No, it's actually not TechSmith. TechSmith, Jing is one by TechSmith, Camtasia is one by TechSmith. So screencasting is a generic term, which is recording your computer screen, right? And turning anything on your computer screen into a video or a movie file, right? And so Screencast-O-Matic is a free web-based tool that allows you to produce screencasts. It's very easy to use, and another thing that I really like about it is that it has a direct interface with YouTube. So you can go in, and you don't need an account, but if you want the connection to YouTube, you need to set up a free account, which I have. I'm logged into my free account. I'm going to click Start Recording just so it'll start. It takes a second to start loading the interface here. It runs in Java. Oh, actually, that was pretty quick. Some things are going so fast, and some things aren't working. It's the strangest experience. So I will go, let's see. I'm trying to think what I should record here. Here, I'll do a little screencast of our I'm going to do a screencast recording of the resource site I created. This isn't perfect, but I'm sorry, I don't want to overly obsess right now. I would obsess if I was actually recording this and trying to make it look really good. So these crosshairs let you select the accurate size. And I don't know why I can't change the top ones. And all you do here, you can adjust the settings at the bottom, and you can actually add your webcam if you want. And it'll record from your webcam at the same time. Remind you, this is totally free, and it's running in my browser, so there's no downloads. And I can select the size here. I usually do an HD recording when I do Screencast-O-Matic. Now I'm going to take way too much time here. And you have to resize your screen. Sorry, folks. Because HD, that's the highest resolution that YouTube will accept it, and so then you're kind of developing the best quality video. Okay, and you can adjust your audio settings at the bottom if you want to, and then you just click record. It's going to hide my webcam since it's overlapping, so I'm going to say OK. It'll give me a countdown. Well, thanks for joining me today for the Human Touch. I just want to remind you all that we have a resource site here that you're all welcome to access later and share with anyone that you may want to share it with. And on the site, you're going to find lots of goodies, including links to many of the tools that I shared with you and a how-to guide to do the web or the YouTube recording and the embedding specific to Blackboard. I actually recorded that for Blackboard, but it'll walk you through the basics of embedding. So I'm going to click Done. And now it'll ask me if I want to publish it to Screencast-O-Matic, publish to YouTube, or publish to video file. I've actually only done the publish to YouTube, so I'm going to do that one and call it Q Screencast. And you can adjust the privacy again there and click Upload to YouTube, and it starts uploading for you. Oh, shoot. You may laugh at me, but I don't know if I know what my YouTube password is. Yikes. Well, I promise you it works. I'm not going to try to troubleshoot that one right there, but it's very slick. And actually, you go right into your YouTube account, and then it's the same end product. It's right there, and it's something you can embed and share, and it's a nice way to produce screencasting and include the human presence in something more instructional. So those are a few tools and a few strategies. Of course, there's a lot more about using video that you should always keep in mind in terms of, length and learning objectives, particularly when we're getting into instructional video. And I know I glossed over a lot of that, and it's critical. And course design and all of those essential nuts and bolts. But do you have any tools that you've used that you'd like to share with us that you would like your peers and me to know about before we leave? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 I actually started, that's from the story I shared at the beginning. I went from that to Audacity to video. That's what I did. And I think that I started with Audacity because video was just so big at the time, and it's changed so much since then. Yeah, and I mean, my workflow just changed. But yeah, and that's a great point. You don't need video for everything. Absolutely. So that's a very good point. Yeah, so explain what Voki is. Yeah, that's fun. Yeah. Yeah.
The QuickTime that comes with no effort and line on the Mac, just stamp QuickTime right in the program and do screen capping, video cam capture, and upload to YouTube, video, and a bunch of other things. Pull it out easier.
That's funny. I had that, and I didn't even realize that. I thought it was one that I'd paid for. I don't even know what I pay for anymore. I have so many things upgraded and not upgraded, so thank you for sharing that.
The QuickTime that comes with no effort and line on the Mac does all this screen capture and video capture.
I didn't even know it did screen capture.
Yeah, you can do selection or full screen.
Good to know. GarageBand for audio. Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 Skype, yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, and that's something that I don't know if I still have that window up, but in my Moodle class, it's one thing I like about Moodle. Well, I just insert a text box, an HTML text box on the front layer of Moodle, and then I grab one of the status buttons from Skype, and so it shows if I'm online or not. And so if I'm online, they can just click on it and call me. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's nice. But Blackboard, you can't. I mean, you can put it in Blackboard, but you can't put it on the top layer. It's just buried. It's hard to see. Yeah. What else was I going to say? Oh, this is what I was going to say about. So we're talking about these Mac tools have all these things built in, and I think that's awesome. But one of the things to be said about the web-based tools is that our students can use them, right? So think about these things in terms of having your students produce screencasts to demonstrate proficiencies and skills and, right, those sorts of things. Or record videos into YouTube and, I mean, all those sorts of things. I mean, there's so much there. That's really kind of, I think, the tipping point. Obviously, that takes us outside of your human presence, but their human presence is important too. So I guess that's the thought we'll end with, unless someone has anything else to share. Yeah. Yeah. Well, TeacherTube is not YouTube. But did you guys hear the announcement at the opening keynote? So, and I don't have any details. I don't even really understand what it means, but the announcement was that YouTube has reached out to Q to curate the new teacher channel on YouTube. And so I think that that's basically what's happening, is that there's going to be some type of vetted content partnership going on there. It probably will be, yeah. That's what I would expect. I don't know what the parameters and details are, but if it's a partnership of that magnitude, then I assume that it's going to have that worked in there. So I think that's happening. Yeah. Thanks for coming, folks. Have a great rest of the afternoon.